What's good? What's good? It's the one, the only, but what do I know? Boxing back at you with another one. Yo, so I got a message, man. One of my homies asked me, man. They said they were having a debate, and they said, man, who do I feel like has the better career or had the better career between Adrien the Problem Broner and Danny Swift Garcia? So that's definitely a hard one. But before I get into it, man, at the end of the day, this is what Adrien Broner's gonna have to say.
It's okay. At the end of the day, I'm still a four-time world champion, 4 different weight classes, and when I'm done with the sport, I'm gonna be in the history books.
Now, I'm gonna start doing more videos like this at the request of anybody. So if ever you have a question or want to compare two fighters in their careers, well, you know, I definitely will start doing that. So all you got to do is just inbox me, hit me up on social media on Instagram, Mamba Mentality 0824, and Facebook, Keith Mathis. So I wanted to touch on this. That's a very good question, though. Very good question, because yes, as you guys heard, Adrien Broner is a four-time world champion in 4 different divisions, and actually, no matter how he got it, that's still impressive. That's definitely an impressive mark to have on your career. And he was one of the youngest ones to do it. You know, his name goes up there in the books technically with the Mayweathers and the De La Hoyas. Now, how he got that, we're gonna talk about it later on. But to say that you're a 4-time world champion in 4 different weight classes, bro, that's definitely something. That's definitely a hell of an accomplishment. So if we're judging, you have to judge this. It depends on what criteria you're judging it by, because Adrien Broner, sorry, he was a WBO super featherweight, WBC lightweight, WBA welterweight, then came back to WBA super lightweight. Okay, so yes, he's won these belts. So if we're going based off of, you know, world champions, then yeah, okay. But the thing is, if that's not the only thing that holds to somebody's career. The question was, who had the better career? So we then have to talk about overall. Well, what comes next? Who did they beat to get the belt? Now that's where things become a little shaky for Adrien Broner, because yes, Adrien Broner is a 4-time world champion in 4 different weight classes. And Danny Garcia is he has I don't know if I wouldn't say he's a two. He's a unified champion at 140, and then he won a belt. He won a belt at 147. So he has championships in two different weight classes. But however, now we have to dissect once again who they beat. Well, Adrien Broner first got his WBO super featherweight title against Vincent Rodriguez, and I want to say that was like a first round knockout. I think it was like in the first minute and a half of the fight, and Adrien Broner knocked out Vincent and got the WBO super featherweight title. Now, that's an accomplishment. You never want to take an accomplishment away from a fighter, and becoming a world champion. That's one hell of an accomplishment. You got to give him that, because that's something that fighters dream of doing. Regardless of who you're fighting, it's something that fighters dream of doing. So, and I also want to say that was a vacant belt. It was a vacant belt, so it's technically like he didn't beat the champion. However, Danny Garcia, he won his first title, the WBC super lightweight, against agent Eric Morales. Now, here's the thing that the people are going to say, yes, well, Eric Morales was past his prime. Albeit that may be true, but however, I have this thing that states, when you're a world champion, bro, it's all fair and game. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. If you are a world champion, it's all fair games. What is he supposed to do? Not fight Eric Morales and not only be the legend, but become a world champion because Eric Morales is not a young Eric Morales? No. At the end of the day, he was a world champion. So Danny Garcia did what he was supposed to do and beat the champion and got the belt. So I don't want to hear. I don't like hearing this whole notion. Oh, he wasn't the same. He beat an old fighter, bro. At the end of the day, he had a belt. So if we're looking at that, if we're judging based off of who they beat, I think Danny Garcia has the leadway in that. Adrien Broner might have accomplished more by becoming more a champion in more divisions, but Danny Garcia has the better names that he's beaten on his resume. Okay, so we have Danny Garcia who beat Eric Morales. Then he turned around and got the WBA by beating Amir Khan. I want to say that fight was I think it was a vacant because I think Amir Khan was coming off of a loss or something. But yeah, like they lost to Lamont Peterson. But it was like controversial because Lamont Peterson, I think, ended up testing positive, something like that. And then he moves up to welterweight and fights Robert Guerrero and gets the vacant WBC belt. Now, here's the thing, okay? Again, we established Adrien Broner, four division champion. Four-time world champion, four different divisions or whatnot, right? Okay, cool. We established that. But also, we have to talk about everything that draws in with, like I said, who they've beaten. All right, Adrien Broner beat Vincent Rodriguez at super featherweight. All right, he beat Antonio DeMarco to get the WBC lightweight, Paulie Malignaggi to get the WBA welterweight, and then Khabib. I never could pronounce. I just call him Khabib Shabalaba Ding Dong. To get the WBA super lightweight. Now, here's the thing about that, okay? Adrien Broner, though he has fought a lot of warriors, all right? Marcos Maidana, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, Manny Pacquiao. He's been in there with a lot of good guys, right? However, Adrien Broner has never beaten a guy that he was not supposed to beat, or a guy that was supposed to be a tough fight. AB's never beaten. Like, I'm just gonna give you an example. Antonio, the best name on Adrien Broner's resume that he's beaten, I will probably say between Paulie Malignaggi and Antonio DeMarco. Now, don't get it twisted. Antonio DeMarco, you can't take that. That was my favorite performance by Adrien Broner, because that was the fight that was, okay, that was, if any fight that AB had, that was the fight that was supposed to be, okay, this is gonna be a tough fight for AB. But Danny Garcia actually beat fighters that he was not supposed to beat. The first fighter he was not, I actually think that he was the underdog in the fight with him and Eric Morales, but we're not even going to include that. The first fight that he fought, the fighter that he fought that he was not supposed to beat was Amir Khan. Amir Khan was a heavy favorite in that fight. Yes, we know now, everybody's going to say Amir Khan doesn't have a chin. We already know that. But we didn't, at the time that they fought, Amir Khan was a hot he was coming up in the game. He wasn't even a prospect. He was already a world champion. Amir Khan was that guy at 140. And because Tim Bradley was ducking him, Amir Khan at that time started calling out Floyd Mayweather. Like, bro, Amir Khan was he was coming into his stardom at that time. And so he was not supposed to beat, Danny Garcia was not supposed to beat Amir Khan. Danny Garcia was not supposed to beat Amir Khan. Amir Khan was expected to beat Danny Garcia, then will come back for the rematch with Lamont Peterson. Danny Garcia derailed those plans. Okay, Danny Garcia stopped Amir Khan with the famous no look hook right in the midst of Amir Khan in a combination. It started in the third round, but he got him out of there in the fourth. Okay. So Danny Garcia was not supposed to beat Amir Khan. You got to give Danny Garcia credit for that. Anytime a fighter is an underdog in a fight and they win, I don't care who it's against, you got to give him credit for that. Okay? Not only Amir Khan, okay, then Danny Garcia proceeds to fight Zab Judah. That's another. Okay, you could say Zab Judah was aging, but he beat Zab Judah. Now, I think he was expected to beat Zab Judah, so we're going to skip Zab Judah and go straight to the boogeyman at 140, the monster of the division, Lucas Matisse himself. Lucas Matisse was the favorite to beat Danny Garcia. At the time Lucas Matisse fought Danny Garcia, Lucas Matisse was 34-2 with 32 knockouts. And the only two losses that he had was against Zab Judah and Devin Alexander. Zab Judah was by split decision. Devin Alexander was by unanimous decision in the 10-round fight. But a lot of people thought Zab Judah was by split decision. Devin Alexander was by unanimous decision in the 10-round fight. But a lot of people thought that Devin Alexander should have lost that fight. Okay, but nevertheless, he was a heavy favorite. He was a heavy favorite to beat Danny Garcia. That was on the undercard of Mayweather Canelo. And Danny Garcia, in a tough fight, not only beats him, but he dropped Lucas Matisse. The hard-hitting 34-2 with 32 knockouts, Lucas Matisse. Now, for y'all that don't know, you can look up I can show you numerous videos, man, with different fighters like Tim Bradley, Sergio Martinez saying Lucas Matisse was one of the hardest punchers they've ever been in the ring with. And that was sparring. That was just sparring. So, Danny Garcia then beats Lucas Matisse, and bro, at that point, man, it's like, dude. So, you know, if we're judging based off of who beat the better fighters between Adrien Broner and Danny Garcia, you have to give the fight to Danny Garcia. You have to give that aspect to Danny Garcia. So yes, Adrien Broner accomplished more, but Danny Garcia beat the better fighters between the two. Okay, now who was the better fighter technically? Well, if we're to the naked eye. All right, now this is also a tough one because they were both very good in their own ways. Adrien Broner, though, had the more flashy style than Danny Garcia. And when I say that, I'm talking about the AB at 130 and 135. The Adrien Broner at 130 and 135 had the more flashier style. He had the more fan-friendly style. They're not saying Danny Garcia didn't have a fan-friendly style because I don't think we can ever say Danny was in a boring fight. Maybe Mauricio Herrera, but Danny Garcia always had a fan-friendly style. But the thing about it is AB's athleticism is what got the attention of people, and you know, of course, him being compared to Floyd Mayweather. But AB was fast. I mean, he was powerful, strong. You know, both fighters have a damn good chin, but I definitely would say Danny has the better chin between the two. Danny's never been dropped. AB's been dropped once against Marcos Maidana. However, I would definitely say Adrien Broner had the more eye-catching style than Danny Garcia. However, but I will say this: that was at 130 and 135. I feel like if Adrien Broner was to fight Danny Garcia at 140, I think Danny Garcia would beat Adrien Broner. But in a fantasy world, if you got the 140, because Danny Garcia was a problem at 140. But in a fantasy world, if you have the 140 Danny Garcia against the 130 and 135 Adrien Broner, I would pick Adrien Broner to win. I would pick AB to win in a fantasy matchup. But if AB was to fight Danny Garcia, because honestly speaking, I never liked Adrien Broner at 147, and I don't even like Adrien Broner at 140. AB at 140 is not. He's not really impressive to me like he was at 130 and 135. Albeit it could be the situation with you know him, you know, when he moves up in weight, you know, I don't know, but nevertheless, man, I feel like this, man. You know, if you look at the way these guys got the belt, Adrien Broner got the vacant WBO super featherweight and also the vacant WBA super lightweight. For y'all that don't remember, Adrien Broner was actually coming off of a loss to Sean Porter and then moved down to 140 and got a title shot with Khabib Akabakabaka. So I can't really. I mean, it's like, you know, he got to thank Al Heyman because he was put in positions, but also Adrien Broner was able to headline a pay-per-view with Manny Pacquiao. Now AB was put in a position to where his career could have skyrocketed like on a whole nother level had he would have stayed focused or whatnot. But unfortunately for Adrien Broner, he didn't capitalize off of those moments that he had. The Pacquiao fight, he was coming off of was it a draw with Jesse Vargas, and he got a Pacquiao fight. So I just don't. If you're gonna ask who had the overall better career, I'll let you guys pick that. But I definitely broke down who has the advantages in which aspect. I feel like that, yeah, you can say Adrien Broner has accomplished more, and maybe actually, and he has a more lucrative career because of his style and because of his brashness and his personality. I would definitely say Adrien Broner had the more lucrative career and he accomplished more. But Danny Garcia definitely beat the better fighters between the two. If we're comparing the two, Danny Garcia definitely has the better names on his resume that he's beaten. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think had the better career? Like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?